Hello, hello, my Let's Keep It Real people. Isn't it weird how I have such a strong fitness background? I haven't had anyone on in for, I don't know, 2 years. Well, that's okay. We wanted to wait for Derick. But before I bring him in, let me tell you a little bit about Derick Johnson. Derick Johnson is a U.S. Army veteran, life coach, and trainer that has helped over 500 clients and 50 companies go from just surviving to thriving through his coaching modalities and marketing efforts. Derick was awarded Soldier of the Year for his battalion 3 times, received numerous awards for his physical training, and took his leadership skills, certifications, and life experiences to help people take control of their mind and body so they can thrive and not survive. We like that. Welcome, Derick. Hi, Derick.
Hey, Sandy, pleasure to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I was so impressed with this other interview you did with somebody. What was his name? John, you said?
John Brink.
Right.
Yes,
Then I was like, I got to bring him on. So how are you today, Derick?
I'm doing great. Doing great. It's been a nice month. So right now it's the end of February. So it's been a nice productive month. So I'm ready to finish off strong.
Oh, good. All right. So that leads me to the question I ask all my guests. You get to pick one word, whatever pops into your mind first, that best describes your past 30 days and why.
Unstoppable.
Ooh, bring it on.
I will. So in regards to health has always been good. I was blessed with good genetics from father and mother. My father's side, they're all farmers. So as you all know, they eat healthy and it's in your blood almost being healthier. So I'm blessed with that. But I can definitely say the past couple months, it's been a spiritual test because once a new chapter is about to begin, once a new opportunity arises, some people might relate to this where they notice that there is spiritual warfare that tends to happen. They're getting tested and so forth. So those moments have happened. So nothing major with health, but I did have some spinal and neurological issues. Everything is fine now, but I was basically driving a few times these past couple of weeks and I would almost pass out and I was having like panic attacks, and never in my life did I have those, but I noticed that it was internal stress related. I handle stress management really well, but I guess it was all internal and subconscious. So it was messing with my nerves. It would start at the bottom of my spine and make my neck tingle. And so I was able to naturally get through that. So the more research that I did after seeing the professionals, I realized, I said, you know what? All the tests came back green. Everything was green, blood work, etc. And then I spoke to one of my spiritual mentors, and then we talked about it, and we found all these Bible verses and everything that relates to it. And it's just in a very deep setting because my girlfriend and I just moved back to the United States in December. The past 2 years we lived in Panama. We've always
Oh,
spent some time out of the country. And so because new opportunities, business growth, personal growth, our relationship is growing, I knew that something is about to happen. You could just feel it. But that's definitely the challenge. So that's why my word is unstoppable, because I kept the faith strong. I stayed focused and I made sure no matter how I felt, I would show up for clients. So like the past couple of weeks, I would either do a standing call or I'd sit and I'd move around and I'd never say anything. And
yeah.
then one time somebody asked, they're like, "You're okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, my spine is just tingling." So no pain, but definitely just the neurological things, but everything is fine. So my word is unstoppable, and being aware that sometimes the enemy, whatever we want to call him, whatever someone believes in, will test you before your new chapter, your new journey, your new level is
Yeah.
about to happen.
There's so much to unpack there, but I'm going to start with one of the questions I got. Before you came on, I always ask my peeps, what do you want to ask Derick? And it relates to this with the doctor. So, and I understand this. There are amazing doctors out there, amazing. But when you go to them, most of them do not have the spiritual component in it. You know, they're just, this is the facts, this is what I found. And some of them might tell you all the things that could go wrong because that's what they're looking for and scare the heck out of you.
Yes.
So this listener says, ask Derick, how do you balance being a mindset of I'm healthy, things always work out for me, I feel great, to going to the doctor and then feeling as if there could be a million things wrong with you? And you're talking about that because you went to the doctors, and I don't know how they handled it, but This is a great question because you want to have that uplifting attitude. You want to go and get your physicals and your checkups, but sometimes it's doom and gloom. And how do
Yes.
you balance that with this woman, we'll call her Sally Bell, is also very spiritual connected, she says.
Okay. Great question. I appreciate that. So in regards to that, I would go into it with the mentality that life is happening for you, not to you. Life is
Mm-mm.
happening for you, not to you. That's one of my favorite Tony Robbins quotes, and it always just stood out to me since my childhood. My dad used to play his cassette tapes when I was a child, and all these quotes just stuck with me. But with that being said, is it depends on your mentality and your perspective as you're driving to that appointment. And this goes for anybody. As you're driving to that appointment, what is your most dominant thought? Is it fear? Is it what WebMD told you? And you're just like, oh, goodness, I got 3 days left. And you're just thinking the worst absolute scenario, which is
Yeah.
0.0001% usually accurate or 0%. But your perspective and your dominant thoughts on your drive to that appointment will dictate the outcome. And just to remind yourself that many things are psychosomatic, meaning if we're thinking the worst, we can cause stress, anxiety, blood pressure to skyrocket, blood sugar to drop, all these different things that can happen internally, all from our thoughts. So if we go into the doctor before we get our blood drawn, before we get our heart rate tested, our blood pressure, we could go in there with it higher than it was 2 hours previous, because the drive there, we're thinking, oh shoot, what if this, what if that? And we're doing the what if scenarios, which elevated our blood pressure, our heart rate and all that, where then if we see the machine, we're like, oh, am I sick? And then it could be psychosomatic. And maybe it was just you caused your own stress and anxiety on the drive there because of the most dominant thoughts. So controlling the dominant thoughts, reminding yourself that this is just a test. And also in a spiritual standpoint, knowing whatever you have faith in, really say a prayer, a meditation, whatever somebody's modality is, speak to that individual, whether it's God, an ancestor, whatever someone believes in, the universe, say a prayer or a mantra in your car before you get out. And then once you walk in, control your energy and just have that strong level of faith in a higher power and within yourself. And I'm confident that with that, it's easier said than done. But when somebody has such strong faith in higher power and within themselves, they can look at it in a different light. And the last perspective is, if you look at life, you're still alive. So all of us are blessed. So technically, from a business or a competitive sports analogy, we are 800-0, meaning we've won 800 of the scenarios of stress, anxiety, depression, etc., that we've been through because we're still alive. So you're technically going into that appointment undefeated, and you're like, I've made it through things that are way worse. So you remind yourself how strong you are, and then you walk in there with a different level of energy, opposed to letting this thing override you to make you forget about all these things you actually overcome. So everything goes back to the perspective and the mental energy of your thoughts going into there. So I think those three would definitely help her.
I think it's going to help me too. I'm going to write that down. You know, I do have my docs that I love, but I'm very picky too who I go to see. Like I already know their attitude and they know me, like, you know, but it's funny because I think it was 2019 when I sold my health clubs, Derick, and within a couple months, I got stricken with something that was going on in my head and neck area. It ended up being pinched nerves, you know, the trifecta nerves that go up around your head. But I was out for the count. Like I couldn't move. I couldn't walk. I couldn't drive. I couldn't even take a shower. And it was so debilitating that they did every test in the world to me. You know what I mean? And you go to, and everybody was like, I don't understand why Sandy's going through this. And, you know, then I fell a million times on my mountain bike. So I'm a mountain biker and I kept going. So the physical part of it was, I was just ignoring it. You know, the left side, I just kept falling and falling and ignoring it or sitting the wrong way at my desk. But thank God I had a mentor, a spiritual leader that would say, nope, yep, I get that. But really, this is about you asked for the next years of your life after you sold the health clubs to be pure joy and abundance in all areas of your life. And God knew the only way to get you to really listen to him and not help others and work on yourself, he had to take you out for the count because you would have been hobbling to people. You couldn't literally do anything but lie on your side and listen to Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, you name it. And what came out of it is I had all this stuff that I stored way down that I was angry and frustrated about from my family that I didn't want to deal with because I was known to be happy, joyful, pippy skippy. So I
Yes.
never let it, and your body stores everything, and it just came out. And that was the only way it could have, for me to have that time there I had nothing else to do. And I'll never forget it. My mentor, shout out to Matt, said, I'm so happy this happened to you. Oh my God, what a gift. And I'm like, all right, maybe, but right now I'm going to come kill you because I was in severe pain. But he was so right. It was a gift because
Oh
I
yeah.
never would have gotten to, like you talked at the beginning, the next level where I'm going, what I asked for on my journey. I would not have been able to feel that pure joy unless I went to the other side.
Oh yes. And it's amazing when you can have that confidence and clarity. And if anybody's struggling with these types of scenarios, step one is always, which is the hardest for most, is to push your pride and ego aside, to be able to see things from a bird's eye view. I have some friends and some clients that are just like, man, so much is happening. I'm like, I understand. I understand. Here are the facts. Yes, it sucks. Let's zoom out for a second. And then
Yeah.
we start really
Yeah.
looking at it and they're like, okay. Then they slowly push pride and ego aside and they can see a little clear. And as the weeks go, they're like, you know what? I see why it happened. I needed time for me. They needed time for others, whatever the scenario was. But it's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
in hindsight reflecting, saying, huh, okay. Sometimes stuff happens for us to shift.
It does. It does. All right. So let's get down to the biggest question I had from over and over and over again. They want to know about your time in the Army.
All right. Great
I mean, they
question. So,
want to know. I mean, I got everything from, was it as horrible as they thought? Did you have the bonds like, band of brothers? Where were you? How many years? Blah, 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 blah. They want to know. They're curious.
all right. So I grew up as an Army brat, meaning my father was US Army for 20 plus years. So as
Okay.
a child, I grew up in Germany. We were stationed in Germany. My
Oh,
mother's German. So my dad met my mother in the discotheque way back when. So they were like professional battle dancers. It was pretty interesting. So they met back then in Germany because my dad was stationed there.
really?
Oh yeah,
You have
it's
video
pretty
of
awesome.
them or pictures or any of that
Yeah,
stuff?
I have a ton of pictures. It's pretty cool to see. Like my dad had matching suits to her dresses and like just all the stuff, literally everything from a music video from like the 70s and 80s was that was them back then. But yeah, so they met in Germany because my dad was stationed there. And then they had my sister. Years later, they had me. So growing up, I always saw my father wake up early to exercise, head
Okay.
to formation, head to the base. And then my mother has been a kindergarten teacher for 40 plus years. So she would be up at 4 or 5. And as kids, kids do as they see, not as they're
Mm,
told. So I would see them up early exercising. That's all I saw. And it was just normal. And so I was always motivated to wake up early, work on the mind, work on the body, and show up for everyone else. Like they never missed a day of work unless they were
oh,
completely sick and had to be in the hospital or had an infection. And that was the only time they ever missed anything. So that was instilled in me. And so as a child, I was very insecure. I was shy. I was very skinny. I was bullied once we moved from Germany to the United States because people didn't know what I was. They're like, is he Mexican? Is he black? Is he white? He speaks too proper. He speaks to this and just had all this stuff, which was confusing. And I was like, why can't I just be myself? Because as a military kid, you're around all different ethnicities and it's normal. So nobody thinks anybody's weird because you're around
yeah.
such different cultures and it's awesome. So we moved to Pensacola, Florida, which is a beautiful city, panhandle of Florida, an hour from Destin, Panama City Beach. But my hometown area is very close minded. And so I knew that
Oh,
I had to make a shift. So I knew that Army ROTC would help me once I got into high school to get out of my shell. So that was my step one into the military mentality was ROTC in high school. Then in college, I did Army ROTC in college as well. And then after that, I served for 10 years in the US Army. 5 were active and 5 were Army National Guard. So
okay.
essentially, National Guard, we prepare the state of Florida for hurricanes, storm, just anything. We would help take care of the communities. So in the US Army, you have 2 jobs. One is your main MOS. So my main job was satellite communications. I was a tech nerd. We could be in the middle of nowhere and I could set up a satellite, give everybody internet, radio, communications, etc. On the downtime, you could choose a job within the Army that is extracurricular. So mine was master fitness trainer. So I would help male and female soldiers get mission ready. So prepare them for deployments, or if they came back from deployments, or if they came back from a divorce, back from an injury, and they were in a low state mentally or physically, or had injuries and gained weight, I would help them to always be mission ready, no matter what situation that they were in, personally or physically. And so tech nerd, fitness nerd, and just combine those together. So that was my job and my main focus in the US Army. So to give somebody a visual, I was the guy running on the side of the platoon, shouting out the songs as we're running,
Ah, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sprinting to the front, sprinting to the back. I was not a drill sergeant, but just in general, when it came
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
physical training, I was the one that always pushed everybody and run back to whoever was the slowest and guide them and really push them to get out of their comfort shells. So that was always a passion. But internally, in hindsight, I was just making that insecure boy that was bullied, that just saw a lot of traumatic things. I was making him proud because I was never that person, but I had to face all my fears in the US Army: fear of heights, fear of
Mm.
speaking, getting out of my shell, etc. So some huge takeaways were leadership and how to really and truly meet people where they're at and slowly build them up on a one-on-one or a team basis.
You know, when you were describing your family, I was thinking, okay, this is like an ideal situation. If I didn't read the background that was sent over, I'm like, oh my God, they get up early. They're so motivated. They're working out, happy, happy. But I was reading through, and you said you grew up in a home with alcoholism and rage. Was that from both parents or one?
Yes. Yes, it was from both. So both of my parents grew up very poor and they became successful. They were the oldest of multiple siblings. So they had to grow up really quick. Like by age 11 to 13, they were already doing everything, taking care of brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews,
Yeah.
neighbors, sleeping in beds, head to toe, in like 2-bedroom apartments and all that.
Mm.
So they saw the worst. They also both saw violence happen to their mothers. So that was a
Both
normal.
of them.
Yes, both of them. Both of them had a very similar upbringing in regards to growing up poor, seeing their mothers physically beaten, etc. Very dark times. So alcoholism happened from their fathers and from a lot of men in their homes. Alcoholism and drugs, so it ran on both sides. And so, with that being said, they used that as a driving force because they were the oldest of all of the siblings. So they excelled in their careers, both of them, even things
Mm.
they did outside of their main career. And nothing in regards to alcoholism ever affected their friendships or their professional life.
Mm.
They were awake every morning, but at night, after the get-togethers,
Yeah,
after
yeah.
the cookout, they would come home or the guests would leave. Because from the outside, we had a beautiful home in Florida,
Yeah.
screened in pool, beautiful family, and all this. Once the guests left, hey, good to see you. They find their son and they take out whatever internally happened in their past after that last bottle. So physical, mental, emotional, and all that. So it started when I was 11. And the
Wow.
first time it happened, I thought to myself, okay, I'm not the perfect kid, but I was like, I never got a referral. I get pretty good grades. I'm not the smartest in the class. I just work hard. I play sports. And I was like, what is happening? And it was just a culture shock. 1 year of that happening, at age 12, I realized that this only happens between the hours of 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. This never happens in the daytime. Because the
Okay.
very next morning, they would say, hey, where do you want to have
Yeah.
breakfast today? Where do you want to go for lunch? And in my head, I'm like, I'm still cleaning up glass from last night. What are you talking about? And so just to give people a visual
That
of it.
much of a shift. It was that
Yeah,
much of a shift.
exactly. It
Like,
was like a blackout.
you're like, hey, how you doing?
Exactly. Because the next morning they'd be awake, exercising, first one in the office, first one in formation. It didn't affect anything. So they were like functioning alcoholics.
Yeah.
So it was only in the home base where all hell would break loose. So because that skinny, insecure kid was dealing with that and barely sleeping at home, then he went to school and was getting bullied. At the age of 12, I made a decision. I said, I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm scared at home. I'm scared in public. I'm bullied. I don't know who I am. I'm told I'm too white. I'm told I'm too black. I'm told I'm too that, like all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I said, from here on out, I'm not allowing somebody to control my reactions to things. And I've like made a pact with myself. So my step one into my personal development was fitness. I knew that I had to change my physicality to stand up for myself, not to
Mm.
get in shape to fight the bullies or fight family, nothing like that. But I had slumped over posture. I had a really bad stuttering issue and just was very insecure. And I
Yeah.
had to change that boy into a man. So for that year and a half, I picked up every bodybuilding magazine, Men's Health, Body by Jake, like, and I grew up, I'm 34. So I grew up Body by Jake, Tybo, Billy Blanks, like
Like, this
anybody
is
you
when you were
name them.
12, you were doing this?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
I had to make a shift because I knew the patterns. And so the self-awareness came from when somebody grows up around those type of family members, they're very hyper aware because they think, okay, I'm about to get hit, something's going to get thrown at me. So they're very aware, which is a gift because they could read people and they have a high level of discernment. So going back to what you mentioned in gifts to stressful situations, I truly believe everybody who has a certain level of trauma has a gift, and it's
Yeah.
our job to pinpoint what it is. So my gift as a child was discernment. So our home was structured, work hard, suck it up. We don't talk about emotions here, professionalism, show up the best way you can. But on the flip side, there was never really any personal dialogue. The
Yeah.
words I love you were never said in our home, beautiful family. We just didn't say that. We're just like, hey, work hard. I don't care. Suck it up. You got to go. That was the mentality. It's like, hey, we've been through stuff worse than you. Don't be a little B. Keep pushing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, it is what it is. That was the mentality. It did help to an extent, but on the flip side,
Yeah.
I didn't really connect to people at first. So now in hindsight, people can see, okay, I went through this thing. What is my gift that I got from that? My gift was discernment. Okay. What do I give that I was lacking? So asking people, what do you give others? It could be complete strangers that you lacked in your teenage years or childhood. I lacked people actually listening to me because they would just blow me off. They're like, oh, you want to do that? That's stupid. Go over there and go do that. And it was just a repetitive thing. So when I'd be in public and a teacher, a stranger, my friends would actually listen, I was like, wow, they're actually listening. And so I would give the same support and active listening to other people because I was lacking that. And people I noticed in middle school to high school would just approach me, just random people at the bus stop, in public, and would
Mm.
just pour out their situation. And the first couple of times I was like, this is a lot because I'm going through stuff. And then the older I got, I realized that,
Yeah.
okay, there's something about me. I'm just so calm, or I'm half asleep because I got my ass whooped last night. And so I'm like, people are coming to me and just pouring out. And I said, there's a gift in here. And so seeing that, what happened at home, step one into my journey was fitness, which then elevated into faith, because after workouts, I'd be mentally calmer and I could
Mm.
work on my faith. And then after that, step three was I just wanted to help people because I never wanted people to feel all the things that I felt. So it opened up a door when I was a teenager, and I didn't know what I was going to do long term, but I knew it was going to be to elevate others.
Oh, Derek. So let's just back up a little bit about, you said you started working out with your when you were 12, and that is how you part of how you survived.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. So when did you finally get out of your house? How old were you?
I was 18.
Okay.
So I got kicked out multiple times, but
All
eventually
right.
they were drinking. But yeah,
But for
I'm
those 6
officially moved out.
years, it's
Yes.
still, I just want to clarify this, was the same stuff was still going on in the home.
Oh, yes, 100%.
The only way you coped with it at the time was working out and then spiritually connecting after your workouts.
Yes, 100%. And number three was to help others.
Listen to others.
Yeah.
Just be there because you weren't getting it at home. You were giving it to others. You know, I can see why you believe, and I do believe too, that your journey ended up being such a huge gift, because if you didn't go through that, you wouldn't be who you are in the world today and helping in the same way. You can't. Possibly can't if
Yes.
you didn't go through that. Your family, is anyone still alive today?
Yes. Both of my parents are still alive.
Are they
I've,
still in the same situation?
yes, very successful, very well known around the world and all that. And as a kid and teen, I kept it to myself most of my life because I
Yeah,
never
yeah,
wanted to bash someone. I've never been a complainer, and I've
yeah.
never been one to bash somebody's credibility or reputation. So that's why I kept it to myself. one of my best friends, who was one of our neighbors at the time, I was like 16. He's like, dude, why have you been so tired lately? And I said, you really want to know? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, I'm going to call you tonight at 11. I'm just going to lay the phone down. And he's like, okay. And I laid the phone down for like an hour. And the next morning on the bus, he was like, holy I was like, that's why I'm tired lately. Because he could just hear. And he's like, what? Was there a demon that took them over? I said, no, it's just, I mean, yes, it could have, or that's just how it is. And he was like, dude, it all makes sense now. And I only told him by letting him hear, but I didn't confront
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
Keep it between us, but this is why. And he was like, it makes total sense why you changed yourself, because you would have became the angry kid fighting or drink and did drugs, etc. So I had to choose a positive outlet.
yeah. So, how is your relationship with your parents now? Do they realize what they've done? Have you had a moment to
So
talk with them
I
about
haven't
it?
seen them in person or talked to them in years, which was a conscious decision that I made for
Yeah,
myself,
yeah.
because I just had to work on my relationship, my business, and all that, because there's a lot of distractions. So the best thing that I did for my mental health 6.5 to 7 years ago was I changed my phone number. It sounds so simple, but drunk family members cannot text me or leave voicemails at odd hours of the day, which throws off my energy. They can email me, they can message me on social media, but they end up in the message request folder, meaning I have control. I can read it and they
Good for
don't know
you.
that I read it. And then I can respond. And I'm not saying this in an angry way. I just had to do it for myself because I knew
Absolutely.
that I can make a bigger impact. And it was starting to affect my relationship. We'd be doing great. And then out of nowhere, she would ask, she's like, your mom must have texted you, didn't you? And I'd show her the phone. There's like 30 paragraph texts at odd hours, just talking about what I did when I was 15. It was like, what does that have to do with anything? And so there's no hate, super calm about it, done all the work, but it was a conscious decision. Let me change my phone number. Let me go all in business. And one of my
Yeah,
deep goals was to help their old friends that stopped being friends with them once whatever happened. I don't know what happened with them,
yeah.
but essentially a lot of their old friends became my clients, and I was able to transform their mind, their body, get them off alcohol, get them off prescriptions. And so
Wow.
I knew that word would get back without me having to say, see, I told you so. My teenage version wanted to be like,
Yeah,
bring the anger.
absolutely.
But the older I got, I just was calmer and more mature. I said, you know what? Positive word will give back to them, because a lot of their old friends reached out to me throughout the years and they're like, wow, you really do this. And then they never once asked about my parents. I didn't say anything about them, but I knew word would get back. And then from me just going all in business, I know internally they're like, wow, we created this positive animal. So soon, maybe this year during the holidays or one of their birthdays, I'll surprise them and show up.
Mm,
But I have a boundary, and I'm going to say, hey, before we have a conversation about the past, about anything, I just want you to sit down, and I'm going to open up my laptop. I'm going to share it on your TV screen. I just want you to watch these video testimonials of clients. And we're going to take about an hour to hour and a half just so they can watch all these videos and say, this is why I got out of the army. This is why I went this path. So hold your opinions that I went the wrong route in life. This is what I did. Can we have a normal conversation about whatever?
mm.
So then the ball is up to them. And however the end result goes, I'm going to be fine either way. But that is the mature version. My
Yeah,
teenage version always had a vision of getting rich and successful, showing up with bags of cash, throwing them the
yeah,
middle finger. But that's like 16-year-old mentality. But
yeah.
nowadays it's just that calmness where I could just show them, like, I understand you wanted me to retire with the military. I understand you wanted me to do XYZ, to go get a master's, et cetera, et cetera. But that was not the journey that I wanted. So here's proof of what worked. And here's what I'm going to do at a bigger level. And so it's more of the calmness. So can we have a normal conversation? Because what I did at 16 is irrelevant. What you all did, no need to even talk about it, because I'm going to say thank you for what happened. So that is one of the goals for this year, is to surprise them either for the holidays or for one of their
Oh,
birthdays, and then go from there. So it's a very calm mentality. But the past 6 years, I just had to love people from a distance to truly work on me and the business and my
absolutely.
relationship, because now I'm in a great place where none of those words, if and when they happen, will affect me at all. I'll just say, all right, cool. Well, I'll see you in a couple years, or I'll reach out. I'll send you guys an email, and that's it. So
I'm so proud of you. It's one of the most difficult things you can do is cutting your family out of your life, but that, like, saying, "Well, it's family." No. No, 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 no. Love and release. If
oh yeah.
it's so toxic and mentally and physically not healthy for you, what you did is incredible because it was just it's not helping them. They're not getting any benefit to dump on you all that stuff. There's no benefit to them, you know, and
Yes.
it's only going to make you feel worse. And it just keeps eating into your life. And you can't could squeeze you right now. It's amazing because I know so many people. I'm glad you told that story that have, whether it's parents or children, that
Yes.
they've tried to help. Like I have some clients with children that were loving children, but then are now alcoholics or drug addicts and they can't reach them and it kills them not to have them in their home, but they can't have them in their home with the rest of the family.
Yes, exactly.
It's really, really tough, but so rewarding. And the fact, like, if you decide to go and see your family for your birthday, that's because you're ready. That's because you're ready to do it. And until you're ready and have that right mindset, you're right. If you're still going there with FU, it's
Yes.
not going to get anywhere. You know, it's not going to
100%.
bet anything. So I don't even know if it's necessary, not necessary, but if you'll know if it's going to benefit you. And if it benefits you, it'll benefit them. What about
Exactly.
your sister? Where'd she end up?
So my sister, I think she lives in the Panhandle. I haven't spoke to her in a while, but essentially, I'm the black sheep of the family. Not to boast and brag or anything. Just from the outside, I was the only one who wasn't cuckoo. Best way to explain it.
Yeah, no,
I could just see things
I
from the
understand.
outside. I was like, essentially, a lot of madness would happen around me, and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But then I realized that that was a cheat code. I got better at reading people. And funny story in regards to the whole upbringing is when I went into the army and got out of that insecure shell in basic training, you had 7 drill sergeants screaming in your face. I was the person that was trying so hard not to bust out laughing because my 5'4" crazy German mother would take all of them out. And I was like, I'm used to this every day.
This is
You guys are
nothing. Yeah.
walk in the park. So I would see the other soldiers, male and females, like crying, about to pee themselves and scared. And I was like, wow, they prepped me for this. This is a walk in the park. So
What do you
from
got? This is nothing.
exactly. So in the sense of like violence or anything, even outside of training, real scenarios in the army, just me, it just did not affect me mentally because of the upbringing. So I was like, I'm thriving in this and I can help the soldiers who need the help because my home life was way worse than what I saw in the military, but it prepared me for it, which was awesome. So in hindsight, I just say thanks
Yeah.
because telling who I would have been. And at the age of 11 or 12, I remember clear as day when I made the decision of I will no longer allow people to control my reactions. My dad was always into self-development. And one day I was in his truck and he was listening to a cassette tape. I'm old enough to know what a cassette tape is, but it's essentially he was playing Tony Robbins and I was just looking out the window and he said 2 quotes that just stuck with me for life. The first one was, if my mother gave me the love I wanted as a child, I would not be the man I am today. And when I heard that, I was like looking around, I was getting chills, almost teary-eyed, getting adrenaline rush. It's
Yeah.
like, he gets it. He gets it. And I don't
Yeah.
know what happened internally, but I was like, who is this guy? What does he do? And I want to make people feel like how I feel right now. Holy, like, where did he come from?
Yeah.
And so I related to that a lot. And quote 2 is, life is happening for you, not to you. Those 2 quotes stuck with me most of my life. And I would always have that mentality and that mind frame when I would just pause and breathe, show some gratitude and reset with whatever was happening in life. But it's very interesting. So my challenge for people is to look back in hindsight at your most traumatic situations, find the gift. If you don't
Yeah.
know how to find your gift, ask yourself, what do people always naturally come to you for? So me as a teen, people came to me for fitness or mindset. They were like, man, you're always so calm. You're always in shape. And I would never say why, but I would say, yeah, let's work on fitness. Let's work on this. And so going to the audience is, what do people naturally come to you for? Is it for art, fashion, cooking? Maybe you're a chef that whatever it is, something that you're good at, what do people naturally come to you for? Then from there, number 2 is, what are you passionate about? And number 3, how does this connect to your gift if you haven't pinpointed your gift or your future career? And you'll get a lot of clarity from those things because sometimes people say, well, my life was terrible as a child. I don't know where the gift is. So just pause and say, what do people naturally come to you for? And most of your life, they've came to you for this thing because you're just naturally good at it. And then that might tie into your passion. And number 3, that might be exactly why you do what you do nowadays. If it's your career, if it's for nonprofits, charity, animals, kids, helping veterans, whatever somebody's thing is. But I'm confident in those moments they can really think about these things is they gain perspective and they have clarity and they say, huh, I think what I got from said scenario was this. When they look at other perspectives, because sometimes it's
Yeah.
hard for somebody to really look at it and say, well, where is the light from that? Because all I saw was darkness in my childhood. So looking at it with those other perspectives can definitely benefit them.
Well, it seems to me that you have used with your clients, most of them, fitness as the vehicle for them to have a thriving life. Like that's how you get in the door. Like you said, if you're getting in the door with cooking, whatever you do, music, your vehicle has been fitness to do the whole mind, body, and soul.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And what inspired me to get deep into psychology and life coaching was I've been a personal trainer since I was 15 years old because I transformed myself. I was training my teachers, my basketball coach, my parents' friends. And once I got into college, I was about 25 or 26 at the time. And I said, you know what? Some of my clients, they go backwards and they lose the results after we work together for X duration, whether that's
Yeah.
12 weeks or a year. And I took it personal. I said, I didn't give them the mental tools they needed to break those old patterns, to get rid of traumas, limiting beliefs, preconceived notions placed onto them from somebody else, pain, whatever those feelings are from the past. I said, you know what? That's what I need to help people release. And then they'll start to really elevate and feel like they can
Mm.
actually have a full breath again without a stored trauma in their body. Like my stored trauma, most of my life, I felt like I had a fist in my chest. I was just twisting. Best way to
Mhm.
describe it. I was always training hard and eating healthy, but I felt like I couldn't get the full deep
Breath. Yeah.
breath. So helping people get rid of whatever that storage is, that's what inspired me. And once I was able to learn those modalities naturally and help them, I have less clients ever go backwards because they at least got rid of it. If they decide to pick up the bottle again or to do whatever, that's their conscious decision. But 99% of the time, they've gotten rid of those traumas and they overpowered it where they can see things in a different way. So they're not carrying this quote unquote baggage with them into every relationship, friendship, or professional setting where they're not like, hey, here's me in my past, take it or leave it. It's like, no, let's break that
Yeah.
mentality. Let's get rid of some of this and take your power. We can't just destroy every situation we come into just because we say, hey, this is what happened. So it's our job to really work on that. But step one is always, what can I eliminate? That's the first thing I do with anyone. What can I eliminate that is going to help me make more progress?
Cool.
So my intent, I don't approach friends or clients in the intent of show me your schedule, show me your fridge, take a picture of your pantry. All right, let's throw shelf 2 away. Oh, you want to stop smoking tomorrow? Let's do it. It's not that intense because it's not sustainable. Step one, we pinpoint what can he or she eliminate that will help them make more progress. We start with what they eat. Then we go with what they drink. Maybe it's too much sugar. Maybe it's too many wines a week. Maybe it's just something subtle. Then we look at their environment in their phone. What pages do you look at the most? Do you look at sad dog videos at 6 a.m. when you woke up and you wonder why you're depressed at 4 p.m.? You're like, man, I've watched all these sad dog videos today because I adopt pit bulls. And so, like, whatever somebody's looking at, your group chat, is your group chat empowering? Is it supportive? Are they excited? Are they celebrating each other's wins and picking each other up? Or are they just complaining about politics, society, the economy, celebrity gossip? Is your internal digital environment empowering you and supporting you? And then we keep going deeper and wider and look at the people in their life. But the whole intent is start with what you eat and drink and see what you can eliminate and slowly go deeper. And then that individual will start to have clarity and say, you know what? I really need to get rid of the anger of my instant gut reaction to something. I really need to get rid of this. So once we start with subtle of what we're eating and drinking, it's easier for them to open up and be
Yeah.
honest with themselves rather than like, hey, tell me your worst trauma and like, how are we going to get over this? Or like, oh, all right, this is too much for right now. So always
You
start
gotta
off.
meet them where they are. So when they
Exactly.
come to you, do most of them know it's more than just fitness, or are there people that just say, hey, yeah, I want to get in shape. I want to lose 10 pounds.
Yes, they do because I always show them a client testimonial video of somebody that they could relate
Gotcha.
to. So it might be an individual who had 1 or 2 divorces and they're in a low state. They crush it in their career, but they're like, I can't keep a relationship to save my life. I want to fix this. And so I send them a video of somebody they could relate to, and they're like, wow, I relate to him or her. And so just showing them proof. I'm just wanting to show proof because the internet, there's a lot of BS out there. So I just always show real people with real results, and then they can see. So that's always what I like to do. And some people, they maybe think there's not really anything mental, and they're just like, hey, I want to get abs for my family reunion, or I have a wedding coming up. We want to look a certain way.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So sometimes it's just that motivator. Some people are like, hey, I got bullied. I want to just get back at my bullies, not in a violent way, but just not allowing that narrative to be in their head, where they
Yeah.
still feel like that heavy set 12-year-old, and that narrative is running in their head when they're public speaking, even though they're in amazing shape. So sometimes it's something like that. They still feel like that chubby 12-year-old who's bullied, even though they're in amazing shape, and it affects their career when they have to public speak or give the presentation. So we help work on those things. But yes, that's the way that they approach it. They know that we're going to work on mind and body.
Yeah.
And so if I see that someone's not truly ready, then I'll just send them resources. I'm like, hey, with where you're at, here's a video, here's a book. I recommend reading this. And I'm just honest. I'm never hard selling anybody. It's
Yeah.
just, hey, are you open to do X, Y, Z? They can say yes or no. And then we talk about how that looks. But I've never been one to push somebody. I guess the cliche saying goes, as you know, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. My intent is not to grab the horse's head and say, you're going to drink this water.
Yeah.
Teenage me, that's how I felt. I was like, oh my God, I see version 10.0 in everyone and they don't want to change. And I was aggravated as a teen. I was like, why is everybody
Of
wasting
course. Of course. So let's stay with what can I eliminate? Because I did get a lot of questions for you about the fitness, because we haven't had that many people on. So a lot were like, hey, Derick, I want to cut out this sugar. Hey, I have too many wines. Hey, I have snacks at night. I eat, and most of these people already eat healthy that
Yes.
I'm getting. They're already health conscious, but they want to go to the next level. When you are asking people to eliminate something, do you have them replace it with something else? What do you do? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yes, great question. So it's 50-50 depending on their scenario. So I'll create a scenario. Let's say that Michelle has been drinking sodas for over a decade, 7 days a week, drinking a soda, one Coke, whether that's diet or regular.
Ah,
So my intent is not to go cold turkey. There's a very small percentage of people who go cold turkey. My intent is going to be, okay, you drink one a day, every single day at lunch. Understandable. So let's start off with just doing 5 days a week. We can skip a day. And then on the other days where you're not drinking the sodas, let's do some sparkling water, some flavored sparkling water, things like that. So we slowly replace it, and then we start to backtrack and have less of the soda. And so we count every win as a win, even if it's as small as today, I did not have Coca-Cola. That's a huge win for them because she has drank these for 10 years straight, 7 days. So everyone else is irrelevant. It's all about how she feels, and we stack wins. I always talk about stacking wins. My number one question I ask anybody, even if somebody messaged me on social media, is what wins have you had lately? And it always catches people off guard. And they're like, that's a good question. I hate generic fluff talk, so I just get right to them. Like, what wins have you had lately? And they're like, you know what? I haven't drank soda in 5 days. That's awesome. I haven't done this in 3 days. And they start to really get hyped up about themselves. They're powerful. So we look at it like that. How can they replace it? How can they slowly wean off of whatever that thing is, and then go from there? If it is digitally related, I just recommend, and I say, hey, look at everyone that you're following on Instagram or whatever app you use most frequently. Go through your following list and see what pages don't align with what you want in life. Just simply hit unfollow. We're not trying to block everybody. We're not arguing. Like, just hit unfollow, because you have the power to control what you see. Your algorithm will adjust depending on what pages you're following and what you're liking. So somebody's constantly into politics and wasting an hour of their day arguing on Facebook on comments, going back and forth with a stranger. Let's take that back and unfollow these pages. And because social media, there's way more positivity on social media than the negative.
So much.
You and I met via social media. Like, there's a lot of amazing things that happen. My girlfriend and I met. She's gonna be my future wife. Like, we met because of social media. So there's amazing things that can happen. So with that being said, is we just have to remind ourselves of I have the control, you have the control of what you allow in your phone, what you allow in your body, and just take those small steps. Just start stacking wins and be proud of yourself, because all progress counts. And I'm just here to remind people that if you can just simply get 1% better every day, that's going to add up. We're in February. February has 29 days in it. If you got 1% better every day this month, you got 29% better this month. So that's a big chunk. Just keep it simple.
All right, so I better get this in, or they're going to kick my butt. I think I know the answer though. But two things. Do you have a specific food plan that you believe in? And do you have a specific workout regime?
Yes. So in regards to food, I always am a big component about holistic foods. I'm not the keto guy. I'm not the Liver King guy. I'm not the vegetarian guy. If somebody is vegetarian, I'll show them like, hey, based off of how you feel, you just need more protein. Here's some healthy, good options of protein, and you don't have to eat meat or fish. So I meet people where they're at and what they like and how their body reacts. And then I just show them a more holistic approach that is sustainable. I'm the longevity guy. Okay. Long term, that's what it is. I tell people straight up, I'm like, yes, I can help you get abs in 60 days, but that's not what I want to do, because you're not going to sustain it. Because once you hit that goal, you're going to drop and you're going to get back to doing the yo-yo of the roller coaster of dieting. So I'm not the diet guy, but I focus on a holistic so they feel better mentally and physically. And a huge thing that I teach about in regards to nutrition is letting people know the awareness of gut health equals brain health. Gut health equals brain health. And once they can really see different moments in their life where they felt amazing or they felt bad, look at what they were eating and drinking at that time period. And they get so much clarity and they say, huh. And it really starts to make sense for them. So I'm just guiding them. I'm not saying like, hey, you got to eat dry chicken and dry rice every day like a bodybuilder. Like, even I don't like to eat that every day. So it's all about foods that they enjoy, and they can still enjoy their pizza or burger on the weekend and not sabotage the results. They can have fun on a Friday. The next day, they're not in their head because they didn't affect their results. They can still enjoy life. Yeah. I enjoy the occasional cheat meal, totally fine. But you know what parameters to stay within so you can still enjoy life. So you're not that person at every friend function. Could I get another chicken Caesar? Let me get another chicken Caesar. And you're just like, oh my God, this is so boring.
Okay, what about workout?
Workouts, yes. Workouts, I highly recommend that everyone weight train or resistance train. And I'm not saying go beast mode military training, but as you know, it's the most effective way because it's going to elevate your metabolism. It's going to help your body fat. It's going to help you mentally. You're like, oh, I was able to put the pin on the machine a little bit lower. I'm stronger. It all depends on somebody's specific goal, but I highly recommend weight training and resistance training. On top of that, is high intensity interval training, depending on what somebody can do. If they can't sprint or run, maybe they can jump rope. Maybe they can just get on a Stairmaster. I don't care how in shape somebody is, the Stairmaster will get you right within 10 minutes. Your heart rate will skyrocket in 40 seconds. So it all depends on where somebody's at, but definitely number one, weight training and resistance, high intensity interval training. And then last but not least is have some more outdoor workouts. When was the last time that some people dunked their head in a body of water and went swimming? From a fitness standpoint and from a release their inner child standpoint.
Yeah, yeah.
So I like to change it up, not just be in a gym, not just be in a hot garage, but also exercise in nature.
All right. I can't get all the questions in, but you're going to be able to reach out to Derick. Let's end with this. You talk about what opinions to listen to, what voices or opinions to listen to, and what not to.
Yes.
I want to hear how you discern that.
How I discern that is very straightforward. I want you to think of the people in your life, family, friends, professors, whoever's in your life that are giving you advice. Take it with a grain of salt and not in a judgmental way, just in hard facts. Look at their life and ask, is this a viable source to listen to about this thing? And what I mean by that, sometimes family, they mean well, but they have zero experience in the field that you're getting into. And they're giving you a negative opinion that's fear-based because they have no results in that field, or they attempted it and they failed and they gave up. Not saying all, but there is a big percentage. So sometimes you got to appreciate their opinion, but don't let that opinion undermine your own goals, because it's very common to see people take that opinion, they run with it, their goals, dreams, and aspirations used to be up here, and they slowly start to question themselves and slowly drop it. Maybe they're right. Maybe Uncle Jimmy is right. A lot of people he knows haven't succeeded with this yet. Maybe I should do this.
Mm.
Maybe I should work for this. And they slowly start to realize they lower their goals and the threshold, and then they start to settle, all based off of somebody else's opinion. It was never their opinion. So really zoom out and say, should I listen to this person, or should I just appreciate what they say, but not let it really affect how I see my own self or my own journey on life? So really assess who is giving you opinion. Are they doing it from fear? Or is it that supportive friend that's like, hey, I just want you to win. Let's go all out. And that person that's honest, open, and blunt with you, those are your people.
Yeah.
It might not be comfortable to hear sometimes, but that friend that speaks up when they see you gain 5 pounds, or like, hey, let's go for a walk this weekend. Let's go hiking Saturday. That person truly loves you. Everyone else is just kind of
Yeah.
projecting
Yeah. I always think they're just coming from their own experience, you know,
Oh, yeah.
they might mean well, but they don't, that's what they know. And they're trying to protect you, they think. I was laughing because one of my friends was trying to pick a coach for fitness, and the person, not that it matters, but doesn't really eat healthy or work out consistently. And I
Yes.
said, okay, so when you're picking a coach, let's even talk about money. Would you go to somebody about how to make money who doesn't have money? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Some people are just good marketers, and you have a
yeah, I
conversation.
mean, at least I want to be with people that'll walk in the walk and talking the talk, you know?
Exactly.
Oh my God, too funny. All right, well, we gotta go, Derek. I'm so glad we connected. I'm so glad we met. Well, by the way, where do you live?
I live in Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh, you're back in Florida.
Yes, we moved here in December. So we were 2 years in Panama City, Panama.
Yeah.
It was a great experience, but we missed the in-person events, things like that. So we're here in Palm Beach.
You like it?
Yes, we love it. It's surrounding cities right here. It's very calm. Like literally where I'm sitting, I can look at boats driving by. It's just very, very peaceful. It's not, Miami's cool. Miami's inspiring, but
Yeah, yeah.
for me,
Totally
it's
different.
a facade. So we love Palm Beach.
All right, where can they find you? And do you do virtual, in person? What do you do?
Yes, I do virtual. So there's two things, two aspects of the coaching. Fitness and nutrition is all in my coaching app. That's where all the workouts, nutrition is in. Everything is very straightforward. And then everything mental is all via Zoom,
Okay.
depending on their goals. So we meet once or twice a week, and then everything else happens in the app. All the numbers, analytics, nutrition is there. And how to find me? People can find me on social media at Fit with Derick 2, the number 2.
Okay.
And it's the same picture on every app, but my whole intent with social media is to plant seeds, is to make people think or to make them uncomfortable so they stop wasting their potential. So if they hit snooze 5 times and they see a video pop up and they're like, ooh, yeah, he's talking to me, and that's my intent. So you stop hitting snooze or whatever the video is about. So I'm going to be that person that's just going to be like, hey, let's stop wasting potential. Let's stop dating the same person with a different face. Let's raise our standards. And then somebody's going to be like, oh yeah, I needed that one.
All right, my let's keep it real people. I know you're going to want to share, like, and rate it. Please do. We're going to put this on all platforms for you to watch. So watch it wherever you want or listening to it. And Derek and I would really, really appreciate you spreading it, even just with one person that you know could benefit. And you know what I'm going to say? Until next time, thanks, Derek, and toodles.
Thank you, Sandy.